I have to give Rocky Mountain Christmas some credit for being different to the usual kind of Christmas films I watched. I am, however, on the fence with whether or not I liked it or whether or not I just thought it was okay. I probably wouldn't watch it again, but I don't regret the time I spent watching it. This was released in 2017 and it was directed by Tibor Takács. I sincerely apologise if I pronounced that incorrectly. And to be honest, there isn't much of a narrative that I found interesting. So the description from IMDb is as follows. Sarah Davis heads to her uncle's struggling ranch to escape New York and the spotlight from a recent breakup. And basically when she's there, she spends time around the ranch. That's one of the things I loved, and I'll discuss it in a moment. And she's just had a breakup that's in the spotlight. She goes there to the ranch, she meets somebody else, there are sparks. It's a pretty standard blueprint, and I think it worked well enough. There wasn't anything about the narrative that felt forced or pushed or that I thought didn't work. It's simply, I didn't really find it engaging. I found it predictable, and while these kind of films always are predictable, I thought it was just a bit too predictable to the point where I could almost, guess what was going to happen next. The love interests, or the romance, I guess, I wasn't that bothered about. It's between Sarah and Graham, and they're both interesting enough characters. Liked their performances. Sarah is played by Lindy and Graham is played by Kristoffer Polaha. And yeah, I have absolutely no complaints with any of the acting, any of the performances. The characters were reasonably well developed. I thought they were interesting on screen. Good chemistry, looked good. I just feel like the narrative was a bit blah. And I realise that that's not a proper adjective. But that's the only word that I can think of. Because it's not bad. It's not great. It's middle of the road. However, I did love the fact that this was set in a ranch. Or on a ranch. I'm not going to say that this is the only Christmas film to have ever done that. But for me, I think it's the only Christmas film that I have ever seen that does that. If I remember correctly. And it was just something a bit different with a little bit of a different scenery. The horses were gorgeous, and that just gave it a slightly different feel to the kind of Christmas films that I have been watching. I will say the fact that Sarah's breakup was in the spotlight felt exceptionally unnecessary, and that kind of gave it the element that I didn't think was very necessary and made it seem a bit more of a gimmick. But it didn't really overshadow the aspects of it that I enjoyed, so I'm not too fussed. Would I recommend it? Yes, I would. Visually, it's an absolute pleasure to watch. It's great to see the ranch, especially around Christmas time. There is quite a bit of Christmas in this. Obviously, because it's not set in the city, it's not as Christmassy as some films where we see, like the Empire State all lit up, and it's not quite the same, but I think it has a good feel to it. It gives off good vibes. It does feel quite festive. I do like the characters. The narrative's not that interesting, but just watching it visually for the beautiful scenery, I'd say it's one to give a go.